Hello, hello, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, this is Haley Collier, and I'm with my awesome partner,
Ryan Lipsey here with Ticor Title. What's up?
What's up? How's everybody? I mean, it's amazing. We are crazy into July. We're going into August. Can we believe that? Like, what happened?
Last day of the month.
What happened to summer? Like, by the time we know it, it's going to be end of August.
Oh, we're back in school. Labor Day is coming up, the end of Del Mar season, but we're not there yet. As we sit here, it's the 30th of July, end of month.
The 30th or 29th? 30th. That's how our brains work at the end of the month, which it's just craziness, files recording. We've already had closings going on this morning, which kind of segues into what we wanted to give you guys our little title talk on.
Yeah, we definitely share a brain, and she's hogging it most of the time these days. But yeah, it's the last day of the month for closings on a Friday. It always feels good when the end of the month ends up on a Friday, you know.
Oh.
Then you go Richter for the weekend and stumble back in on Monday.
At least us in the title and escrow world, we get our little breaks after for the weekends. But let me tell you, from working on the title unit, when it was a Friday into the month, we may or may not had a glass of wine or two at our desk at like 6 o'clock, still sending out confirmations, still, you know, end of the month, last day. Give your title peeps, give your escrow, your peeps, give them some love because
be patient,
it
count
is crazy.
To 10, take a deep breath. There's a ton of files they're doing. And yeah, but our agents work all weekend, as you know, and one of them I talked to this morning, I'm like, oh, we made it to Friday. And he's like, yeah, only 3 more working days till Monday. I'm like, oh, ouch.
Open houses, things are picking up. I mean, we still see lines out the doors for open houses down the street. It's crazy. But before we get on that, get a little off topic, we wanted to kind of segue into being crazy into the month. What does that mean? How does it look like when your file gets set up to record?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I know. We want to talk about the recording process. I've been doing it since 2001, so it looked a little different back then when the pterodactyls were flying around and the dinosaurs used to take documents down to the county and stuff. But
oh my God, you're a pigeon.
we want to walk you through the recording process and how it gets set up and how we, culminate and bring and land the plane and close a file. So what happened? So loan funds were clear to close.
So there's,
who got to know what?
There's quite a different few steps throughout the closing process, but just to be strict on or how it gets to the closing process. But we're just to focus on closing, how it gets set up, how we get the lender's funds, how it gets going. So first things first, typically the signing happens pretty close to when it's going to fund, either the next day we get the documents. Typically the loan signing, grantee, everything gets done, and they get that, the lender gets all those documentations over to escrow.
Okay, so they send the docs into escrow.
Get docs into escrow. Escrow reviews everything and looks at everything, sees what we have, and then if we're ready to close, which means if the lender is going to send the funds in, escrow calls title, sends an email and says, hey, let's set this one up to record.
So escrow sets up the file.
Sets up the file. And it's either set up 8 a.m., which I know back in your day, back in the dinosaur day, we had 8 a.m.s were a huge thing. And what was an 8 a.m.? Like the lender funded the day before, documents were already down at the county, ready to go.
Yeah.
And it was 8 a.m., reviewed, stamped, and we confirmed 8 a.m.
And by 9:30 or 9, you would have your confirmation, sometimes 10.
Yeah, but things have changed a little bit nowadays.
Yeah.
And typically we have way more special recordings, which is day of setups, day of getting lenders funds, and day of recording. So
right, because everybody wants their clothes now. Give me my check now. Disperse now. It's that whole now culture that we live in. Right?
So that kind of, now we have way more special recordings. So that means escrow calls, we have, lender says, hey, we're going to be funding this file. The lender's funds go to title, because we cannot close on our end until we have those funds. So the lender funds to title, escrow calls and says, hey, we're setting this one up to record. here's what your lender wire is going to be.
And they give you the exact amount.
And it has to be exact amount, like to the penny.
The wire just hits the docket on the bank account, and we have to know what to look for. It doesn't come with a reference number or the title order number, just an amount.
Exactly, and we get notified that this amount has hit once we have it inputted in our system. So sometimes we'll get like, oh, well, the lender funded, where are the funds at? And we've been searching for funds. We need to have a Fed number, and it's all because the wire was off a little bit, or it was sent in 2 wires and nobody was notified.
So they're looking for $7.26 and 90 cents, and they came in 2 3.43s or whatever.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So those happen, but so main thing is lender wires to title, and that wire is for the payoffs on the property. Which that's escrow's responsibility, is making sure they get the demands for the current mortgage. So if the chase demand, whatever.
Whoa, what's a demand? Like, I demand that I be paid this much?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much
So
it is.
It's
so
the exact
demand,
amount to be square with your old lender.
Exactly, to pay off, to make sure that the incoming buyer is free and clear of any of that previous seller's mortgage. So that's the payoff. So escrow gets the demand over to title, gets all the documents. Once they set that up, they send all the documents over to title. And once we're ready to go, so now it's in title's hands. So see, it goes from lender getting funds, making sure they're going to be wired, then goes to escrow, making sure they have all the information, ready to go, get all the documents. Then escrow calls title and says, hey, we are ready to get this one recorded. Here's the lender's funds. This is what you should be looking for. Either docs are going to be sent now, so we have to get a messenger to get the documents from escrow to title, or documents are there, get working on the file right away.
It's crazy. So many moving parts, from the notary to the lender to getting them to escrow. And I mean, with this volume we've seen, and thankfully we're outside of the major refi boom. I know the rates are up and down, so we're seeing more of a flurry of refis. But man, in the holidays and before, it was like hundreds of refinance transactions on top of a robust purchase market. But you can see how many pitfalls there are and potential bad endings or just time-sucking kind of mistakes that can happen.
It's a very timely process, and that's important to know, because if we get the messenger, we've had to step in and we've had to go pick up documents from escrow to get them in title in order to get the documents down to the county for closing, because we're so busy, so many services are using messengers to pick up from escrow that documents wouldn't make it on time.
Right,
so it's
like a 3-hour wait or traffic's a nightmare.
Yep, it's a very, very timely process, because the county, they have their cutoff. They have to have their documents, they have to be released for recording, and hey, let me tell you, after that cutoff, they're done. I've tried to sweet talk them. I've tried to bring candy down there. I've tried to do so much, and no, they are done. When they hit cutoff, there's no calling 2 minutes after and saying, hey, we just got the wire, we need to get this one recorded.
Yeah. No bribery, no state
they don't have any emotion tied to it, so they freely can say, sorry, you missed cutoff. Because they already have hundreds of documents that they have to go through.
It's like a whole circus down there, guys.
Hence, why we get confirmations at 7 o'clock at night now, because they have a load up of hundreds of documents that they have to go through, make sure the notary's right, the sales tax on there is right, make sure all the recording bullet points are there to get the documents recorded. So they have to review all of the transactions to make so they can send title.
Well, and so why me? Why? I'm an agent, I'm watching you guys, and why should we impart this information? Why even bring it up? Well, because it gives you perspective. It gives you knowledge. Knowledge is power. Now you know a little bit of what the process looks like, so you can be understanding and anticipate. And so it's also a reminder to control the controllables, because once the clerk has it in the vigilant and watching the process so that you can control the controllables. The team that is handing out the documents from the lender to the notary to the escrow. The escrow, you got your best team out there available. Then they have the best title unit over with Candy or with Karen and Marina or with Zona. And make sure your people are in the best position to win. And then once it goes to the county, you don't know what those clerks, if they're in a bad mood, somebody cut them off that morning, and they've sent docs back for random, and we did a whole video on
why they get rejected.
What to watch out for, but. That's why we want to kind of put a highlight and shine a bright light on the process so that you're aware.
Yeah, and then just to make the full circle once the process gets, so once we get ready to close, you know, we get the lender's wire in, and that's a huge thing because we can't close until the lender's wire hits our account.
Right.
So escrow could have everything set up, documents are down at the county, but unless we have the wire, we can't close. So we have to make sure we have the money. Us, the email saying we're confirmed, and we call you guys right away.
Yeah, and in some cases we've had 8, 9 o'clock recordings. And so we text those out. We try to be respectful, but it's we're not sitting on them, man. We get them as soon as we see them. We record or we call out confirmation, which is part of the favorite part of our job, just to let you know that that buyer is now an owner. The seller is on to the next thing, and then you get to get paid. So.
Yeah. So that is our favorite call to make, and let me tell you, we love making them. So we've got it a couple times. I've heard recently, like, hey, what's taking so long? Like, why is title sending me my confirmation so late? Just to let you guys know, it's not title. We're not sitting on them, but that's how the process works and how we get our emails. And we want to let you guys know right away to get you guys paid.
That's right. So that's the recording process. It's apropos on the final day of the month to understand why there may be some delays. Why do these title and escrow and lender people talk about end of month and it's such a nightmare? It's because you're taking hundreds of files into the bottleneck of our county and the clerk's ability to facilitate those closings and recordings. It just gets a little chaotic. So if you get your A team in place, the notary, the lender, the escrow, the title, and us involved so we can vigilantly watch on your behalf, then you have the best chances and likelihood of having a smooth closing. And the good news is they're good at their job, and most of the time, 90% of the time, it happens without incident. It just closes, you get word, good to go. But in the case where you have the anomaly of some kind of an issue, or a clerk was having a bad day and sends the documents back because the notary was smudged or something, just know that we're there, we'll pick up the ball and run with it, just make us aware. So.
Yep.
That's the recording process.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And until next time, I'm Haley.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're signing off. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Bye.